Good evening. Welcome to the July 16, 2018 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. I will call the meeting to order and ask that you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We do have a public hearing tonight. We also have the ability for you to speak on agenda items that are not scheduled for public hearing. So if you're here to speak on an item on the agenda, you do need to sign up ahead of time. If you haven't, please see Patty to make sure we get you on the list for those speaking opportunities. We will start off with item 3, the consent docket. Councilors, any questions, comments, or requests on the consent docket?
Mayor, I'd like to remove item E, the Stillwater Sherrar Museum quarterly report.
All right, thank you.
Motion to approve the consent docket minus item E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket minus item E. Please vote. With a vote of 3-0, that motion passes. And the consent docket is approved. That takes us to item 4. I think those are all of our requests are for the public hearing, so we don't have anybody to speak on other agenda items. So we'll skip that and go down to item 5, items removed from the consent docket. Councilor Zanotti.
I always like to highlight when our entities do their quarterly reports, and the Sherrar Museum is one of those hidden gems in our town that really does a tremendous job on a much smaller budget than probably any of us realized until we got on council here. And so I always like to give a shout out when they take the time to give us these reports and just give a few highlights of it. Their second quarter visitation, hard to believe that they, in April, May, and June, they've had close to over 3,000 visitors in the Sherrar Center, and I want to give a shout out for that because that's amazing. The kinds of things they've done is they've partnered with Oklahoma Wondatorium, How Oklahoma Began. They did that in May. What I want to give a shout out to is they've also started Final Fridays by staying open until 7 p.m. So for those of us who work until 5, it's nice to know that on Friday evenings, if you want to grab a light dinner and then go over to the Sherrar Museum, they're open until 7 o'clock. So I want to say shout out to Amy on that. And then what's coming up down the pike is they are doing a cool, I want to make sure I get this right, in July, so this month, they're hosting the 12th annual Cool Classics series in the Sherrar Auditorium. And this year's Cool Classic lineups include, they've already had the viola and harp duo featuring Jeff Cohen on viola and Joe Wiebe on harp performing on July 6th. And they've got one, I'm trying to see what's coming up. The series' final performance will be July 27th when there is a trio. Oleski hits the stage. But go to the website and look and see what they've got going on because it sounds like these are really, to do this for 12 years and to highlight some of those musicians. That auditorium is a hidden gem also as far as the musical things that happen there. So just a shout out to Amy. Thank you so much for doing what you do for the Sherrar Museum.
Absolutely. Thank you,
I was
Counselor.
also impressed with their use of interns.
Yes.
Number of interns.
Excellent. My son and I attended the harp and viola concert, and it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. That's a great spot, and the place was packed. So it's a good series. So if you get a chance, go out there and see that concert series.
They even have refreshments.
They did have refreshments, yes. All right. Do we have a motion on item E?
Motion to approve the quarterly report for the Stillwater History Museum at the Sherrar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item E from the consent docket. Please vote. With a vote of 3-0, that item passes. All right, that takes us down to item 6A, receive public comment regarding a request for a specific use permit to allow personal and laundry service use, a salon and spa, in the O Office District at 1121 Southwestern Road. This is CC-18-87. Mr. McNichol.
And Lance Gross will have that report.
Yes, thank you, and good evening to everyone. The specific use permit before you tonight is for the Glow Salon and Spa located at 1121 Southwestern. The red boundary indicates the subject site, and it's currently zoned O office. Office is also located to the south of the subject site and also to the southwest. RSS small lot single-family residential is located to the north, to the east, and to the west. The subject site was rezoned from RSS to O back in September of 2017. This is the proposed site plan. You can see the proposed building in orange. And to the north is parking, and to the south is parking as well. This shows the subject site as it sits on the aerial photo. Gives you an idea of how it'll be placed. There were two elevations that were submitted. The top one is the west elevation, which will be actually facing western, and the lower elevation will be facing to the east. And you can see it's a single-story residential in character. This is a street view looking to the north from the east side of Western, and the subject site is located over here. Be happy to answer any questions.
Counselors? All right. No questions at this time. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. We have a number of speakers signed up to speak. We'll start with Judith Pitchford. If you could, no? We'll pass on that one? Okay. Laura Fleschner? Sure. Yeah, Kelly, that's probably a good idea. Let's have you go first. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Kelly Harris with Keystone Engineering, located at 923 South Lowry, here representing the owner tonight. Thank you for letting this agenda item proceed this evening. There has been a lot of confusion regarding the uses for this site, and my goal this evening is to help provide clarification on that in this open meeting so we can all just get out what the actual plan is, and because it's going to be a great addition to this area. So tonight we are requesting this specific use permit for the salon and spa. As Lance mentioned, it's a one-story structure with a residential fill. It has a proposed one-way circle drive, similar to the other drives that are existing along this portion of Western. The house that was sitting there had a circle drive, and we're pretty close to lining up with those entrances. They're just slightly off. By code, a salon is only required to have one parking space per chair plus 2 additional spaces for workers. In this type of business, as you know, when you go in and get a haircut, there's a service provider for every service that you go in for. So a haircut, pedicure, a massage, there's somebody there providing that service to you. So we feel like the parking numbers need to account for two spaces for every service. So there's going to be 9 haircut chairs and 6 other stations split between pedicures and massages, equaling out to 15 service stations. So doubling that to 30 plus building for the future is how we came up with the proposed 38 spaces, which is above the 23 that is required. The owner is constructing a large building. Part of that building is she plans for her business to expand into in the future. Right now, she is planning on using the lower 2/3 of that area, and then potentially renting out that north wing until she is ready to expand her business into that. As you know, construction costs only increase, and so since she has the money right now to do the whole building, she would like to go ahead and do that, instead of bringing that construction traffic back onto her established site in a future date. So A salon and spa is a use that is required to have a specific use permit in the office district. So that's why we're here before you tonight, so that she can fully utilize that building as a salon and spa. Until that time, she may rent out portions of her building that she's not using. Those uses would have to be an allowed use in the office district. So retail is not an allowed use in the office district, so that use would not be in that building. If by chance, it just wouldn't be in there. Do we have any questions on that before I proceed? Because that was the main meat of, I think, some confusion that was going around.
So the idea then is not to do retail then? It's
Correct.
the salon and spa, and then
There's-
whatever would be rented out would be within the office zoning?
Right. So for clarification, every time you go into a salon and spa, they sell shampoos and conditioners. So that would be associated with
Right.
their spa. But it's not going to be a standalone clothing store or somebody that's stopping in to shop, and standard retail uses would not be allowed in there.
Accessories, I mean, are what the hair products, et cetera, are called,
Right.
and that's allowed.
Yes. It's a small percentage of the business that they do.
Yeah.
I understand that during the rezoning meetings last year, some uses were talked about. At that time, no design professionals were involved. Since then, it was determined that the existing building was so far out of code, it was pretty old, they couldn't bring it up to code for the commercial building. So that's why the whole old house was demolished. We will be keeping as many trees as possible. The owner is working with a local landscape company. So the large tree, actually, that was in the picture that Lance showed, our circle drive goes around that, so it is planned around that large tree to keep that big one there in front. 3 of the trees on site are diseased, and so it was the arborist's strong opinion that they should be removed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple more sentences. Okay. So at the Planning Commission meeting, it was discussed to move kind of the parking lot closer to the property line. So you see that kind of minor site change adjustment from the site plan that was shown there. One of the owners, surrounding neighbor owner, was at Planning Commission and spoke in favor. Liz has been very good about keeping the surrounding neighbors in the loop about what she's doing. I think you'll probably hear some more about that from other people tonight. Please, if you have any questions that come up through the rest of the meeting, feel free to call me back up and ask questions.
So just to clarify, you and the owner understand that the additional portion of the building can't be rented out for retail use or any other use that wouldn't fit under normal office zoning?
Strongly know that, yes. Everybody is well aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the rest of the signed up public speakers. I do have 5 of them. Judith, still, you're good? Okay. Laura Fleshner?
Laura Flessner, and at the moment I live at 304 Sanger Bend, but for 25 years I lived at 1105 South Walnut. And I just was always looking for some new things to come in on Western, and I just feel like this project fits in with your city C3 or C30 plan. I'm never sure whether it's 30 or 3. I feel like that Liz will really try hard to do things that will improve the neighborhood, and I just urge you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Evan Lockmiller.
Thank you very much. I'm here on behalf of the salon employees. And basically what I want to say is, I'm from here. I was born and raised in Stillwater. And I think what a lot of us that, are a part of this community love is its community feel. And the owner of the salon is from here, and she's a big proponent of small business, and I think it's kind of, it would be great to see another, small business be able to, expand, because you don't really see that much in this town. What you see is one business stays in one spot, and we love that. We love that, oh, there's where Daddy-O's still is. Oh, there's where, Shortcakes is. But there's never any expansion, and I think it's pretty cool to have someone that is from here, be able to say that they've done so well that they need to grow. They need to allow more people to come in, not just to service them, but to work for them. And we get to keep, people here locally that graduate from Meridian Technology. There's not a whole lot of places for them to go here. And just to see that to come back, into this community, have her continue to grow. I think just showing Stillwater supports small businesses and not just, here's another Red Lobster, here's another, chain restaurant, something like that. We need to see our community thrive as well. And I think that's why I'm here, and to speak for her employees and for the, the people that we service. So, thanks.
Thank you. Robert Shearer? Is it Shearer?
My name is Robert Shear, and I live at 1104 South Willis. And Liz is a client of mine. I'm also a customer of her salon, and she's also a friend. I know enough about her business to know that it will be a strong addition to that area of town. You can see by the drawings, she's planning to make it look like a residence. It's not going to be a silver tower. So it'll blend in with the surroundings. You've got an office building to the south. I live a stone's throw away from her place, and I am totally in support of what she has to do, of what she's doing, and it'll be a welcome addition to that side of town. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last speaker we have signed up is Garrett Briggs.
Garrett Briggs, 804 South Rock Hall Court. Basically here tonight to ask you guys to approve the specific use permit for Liz. She loves small business, wants to continue to be in Stillwater and help and support small business in Stillwater, and I think it'd be a great addition to this side of the town. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, I have no further speakers signed up to speak, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And I'll ask Lance to come back up and provide recommendations.
Yes, the Planning Commission made a recommendation for approval of this application by a vote of 3-0.
Thank you. Councilors, questions, comments?
Well, I wanted to say that I think that I appreciate Kelly clearing up some of the questions and confusion that we had. And I want to say that as a city council, we have to do our due diligence when thinking about zoning, that I am impressed with how much effort that Liz and the others with Glow Salon associated with that have done as far as interacting with the neighborhood, trying to design something that fits in that neighborhood, expanding our business. I appreciate that, but I also want to say that as a council, we also have to be mindful that we can't think of it just as Glow Salon. We have to think of it as a zoning. And so asking questions tonight and doing that is not because we don't have any confidence in what Liz and the Glow Salon might do. It's just we want to make sure that we are following what we did as far as the zoning. But I appreciate that you cleared things up tonight, and so thank you.
I appreciate the clarification, too. I do have one question about the parking, or thank you for the pointing out that it's the same parking as the residents. Clearly, there will be more cars than one residence, and that has been factored into the location of the parking, I am presuming.
I think you were referring when I said the driveway is kind of lined up with the same spacing. Yeah, so we also have the large the parking on the north side of the building and then on the south side.
Right. I don't mean I mean driveway.
Then, I'm sorry, what was your question again?
I just wanted to make sure I should not assume anything. you said the driveway was the same as the driveway at the single-family
It's similar, yes,
location-wise?
yes.
And, that sounds great, but a single-family home just has one car coming in and out at a time, usually?
Right,
So there'll be more cars?
correct.
And that has been factored into the location from the corner?
Yes, so we're meeting all the driveway separations from the intersection and from surrounding driveways.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you done? I had a question for staff, just generally about the, with this being a specific use permit for the building to be used as a salon, is there an issue with a portion of the building then being used for a different use? Is that, as long as it's within the zoning, is there any other, since we're giving the whole building a specific use permit, or we would be giving them a specific use permit, would that be affected at all if a portion of the building is then rented out for some other use?
No. And the reason why I say that is basically because the spa could come in there and fill up the entire space. I guess the 5,400 square feet. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to have to be another process of some kind if they do want to rent it and then later they come back to fill it up. So if there's a specific use permit granted, it will apply to the entire structure. And then anything else that falls under office zoning could also still go in there.
That is correct.
Okay.
But if it's a different use other than, say, for the specific use, they'd have to come back and, request.
And ask again. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Counselors, further discussion, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve the SUP at 1121 Southwestern Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 6A, CC-18-87. Please vote. With a vote of 3-0, that is approved. Thank you, everybody, for coming and speaking. That takes us to item 7, resolutions. Item A. I'm sorry.
Before you start on that,
Yep.
it was brought to my attention just before the meeting that these ordinances, which are related to all of the resolutions that are also on the agenda for tonight,
Yes.
all have emergency clauses attached to them.
Okay.
To pass an emergency clause per section 2-14 of the city, of the charter, it requires 4 votes.
We're not going to be able to get 4 votes for that tonight, are we?
Given that that's probably not likely tonight, my recommendation is that we pass these to the 23rd, because we do need to get these on the books, and this will put us about a week behind, but that's easier than waiting for a full 30 days. So
Okay.
with the council's indulgence, I would ask that the 3 second read ordinances and the 2 resolutions simply be moved to the agenda on the 23rd, and we could take them up when we have all 5 members here.
Okay. Counselors, questions, comments, or do we need a specific motion to do all that?
No, sir, since these are not scheduled for hearing, it's just a matter of moving them to the next agenda. And I apologize for the oversight. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have put them on here tonight.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like all of item 7 and item 8 will be rescheduled for our next meeting on July 23rd. That makes this meeting a lot shorter. We'll go down to item 9, reports from officers and boards. Mr. Dorman.
A request for an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307C10 for the purpose of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Stillwater, because public disclosure of the matter to be discussed would interfere with the development of products and services and would violate the confidentiality of the business. Secondly, we would request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307B2 to discuss labor negotiations with International Association of Firefighters Local 2095.
Thank you, Mr. Dorman. Mr. McNichol.
Thank you, Mayor. City of Stillwater is conducting a smoke test on July 23rd through the 27th to find locations where stormwater may be entering the sanitary sewer system. The test area is bordered by Perkins, 12th, 6th, and Jardot. So if you see smoke coming out of the sewer pipes or the storm drains during then, we don't have a underground coal fire. If you have any questions or comments, contact the operations department. You can find their contact information on our website.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Zanotti.
I do. The next two city council office hour sessions are coming up. These sessions are to gather input to the Stillwater Reinvestment Plan Draft Implementation Guide. The first is this Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Aspen Coffee at Fountain Square at 1323 Southwestern Road. And the second one is on Tuesday, July 24th at Balanced Coffee at 120 East 9th Avenue from 8 to 9:30 a.m. So we've tried to do these so that they hit different times of the day so that most people can attend. So hopefully you guys will put that on your calendar and come by and talk to us. You can also check the city's website for more information.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
We would like to encourage people to take the Stillwater Regional Airport Satisfaction Survey. You don't have to have flown with us, with Stillwater Airport, to take the survey, and taking the survey makes you eligible for a quarterly prize drawing. See the website at flystillwater.com for links to the survey. And if you haven't flown through Stillwater, you need to just go home, make a reservation right now.
Because the best part is the drive
It's
home
amazing.
from the airport. That
Yes.
takes less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Mr. McNichol, you have one more for us?
I do. Next Friday, Food Trucks and Tunes. On the 20th is our next event. It's downtown at 8th and Husband from 6 to 10 p.m. Free parking, live music, and food trucks. It's free and fun for all ages. And wear a hat, especially if you have my condition.
We're also asking residents who are interested in helping guide future development of Stillwater to apply for the open seat on the Planning Commission. The link to online applications and more details about the Planning Commission is available on our news page on the city's website at stillwater.org. We'd like to have applications in by Tuesday, July 31st. I also wanted to note, a little bit before our meeting tonight, we had a wonderful presentation from Mr. Arthur Roberts. Sorry. He presented us with a picture of his great-grandfather, William Henry Harrison Adams, which I think is sitting up here, one of the original founders of the city of Stillwater, and came here in the land run of '89, and I think must be the namesake of Adams Street here in Stillwater.
Would you have Patty do it in front of the camera?
Oh, Patty, could you maybe bring that up to get it on the camera? Sorry. Or
They don't want to look at us.
There we go. There it is. So that's a wonderful addition. You also presented the original photograph. This is, I think, a reproduction, but the original photograph was presented to the Sherrar Museum here in Stillwater so that they could put that on display. So it's a wonderful, wonderful gift to the city. We thank Mr. Roberts for doing that, making that presentation, and also for all of the contributions his family's made to the city of Stillwater. All right, that takes us down to item 11, but I'm going to go ahead and recess the Stillwater Chamber City Council. I'm going to recess the City Council meeting now, and we'll jump over to the SUA. And I'll call the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for July 16th to order. And trustees, gosh, it's been a long,
day.
week. Items on the consent docket, trustees, questions, comments, or motions?